mean a little bit more when you look at maybe the grand scope of the series?
I think a series is, it's a segment of games, of periods, and you can definitely draw some momentum. And for us, it was a bit of a blueprint on kind of how we wanted to play, and it was nice to establish our game when the first one didn't go the way that we wanted it to. So I think that's really all you can kind of draw on is like, okay, if we can hit the repeat button on that, we're going to give ourselves the best chance to win the series. They're obviously going to make adjustments, and coming out in Game 3 at TD Garden is going to be a completely different atmosphere. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to play like that. We know that. So, the only thing that we can take is the blueprint, and we got to be ready for a different game.
When you see a guy like Chucky, who's not normally a fighter, going out there and fighting, their star, Pasternak, does that get the rest of you guys fired up?
Yep. It was awesome. It's just, I love Chucky, and I think he, when you play against somebody like him for a long time, I don't love him, but when he's on your team, he's just such a good person, really good leader, and he does things the right way. And for him to go out there and do that, and Pasternak to oblige, it's just adds a little bit of fire to the series, and it was awesome to see. And it's just kind of old school hockey, and that's the way we like it.
And the rest of you guys kind of sitting in the locker room, you had a misconduct too last night, right?
Me? No, I didn't.
Okay, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
So after the game then, or maybe today, talking about what happened at the end of that game, just what are those conversations like?
Yeah, you just normal kind of locker room banter, and you're giving a guy grief for this or that, or something that happened, something that didn't happen. But the general feeling today is kind of business as usual. Whether you win or lose, you take something from the last game. After Game 1, it was okay. What can we do to get better? Boom, you leave that in the past. And Game 2, it's obviously a good game for us, and you have a tiny bit of a high, but then that's it. Now it's on to Game 3, and for everybody in there, everybody's preparing to make sure that their bodies and minds are ready for Game 3.
What's it say to when Chucky does what he did with Boston, when Barkey is ready to take a D shift if he had to? In fact, Paul even thought he did play some D out there last night. When the two leaders are saying we're going to do absolutely whatever, and I know it was weird with Barkey because you guys were down to like 5 guys on the bench at that point, but when the two leaders are willing to do whatever it takes, what sort of a message does that send?
Yeah, everybody just follows that. The best leaders that I've been around are guys that lead by example first, and then when they have to say something, they do. And I think both those guys fall into that category. And Barkey he's somebody who's on the quieter side for sure, but he plays very loud, and whenever he's on the ice, you notice him, and your opponents notice him. And he's a really tough guy to play against, and he just sets such a good example of what to do out there, how to act, how to treat people. Just a phenomenal person, and he's a fantastic captain for our group. And with Chucky, it's definitely more vocal, but he goes out there and does it, and he's not gonna ask you to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And so when you see guys that are leading the way, that are like that, it's easy to follow, and it's easy for the group to get behind because there's no phoniness, there's no fakeness with anything that those guys do, and that is something that guys would see right through if they were. And there's none of that in this group, especially in the leadership.
And we're a leader for a long time too, obviously, in this league. When you get into a room with Barkey, is it just natural that guys who want to see see how other guys do it? Or is it like, what have you picked up? Again, nobody needs to teach you leadership, but what have you picked up in your time around him about how he does it?
I'm never gonna stop picking up things from anybody, to be honest with you. Like, that's just how I live my life. I walk in a room and I try to observe everything that's going on, good, bad, and different, whatever it is. I try to know my surroundings, and you fit in. If it's time to say something, I say something. If it's time to not say anything for 3 hours, I'm good with that too. No problem. Here, when I first got here, I walked in and I didn't really know what to expect. I knew a few guys, but I've never been traded mid-season. You're trying to figure out a new group. That's the best team in the league for a lot of the year. So, and when you see somebody like Barkey after playing against him for so long, and just his habits and his intangibles, I could tell that he worked hard just by playing against him, because this guy is so strong on the puck, and his wrists were so strong. That's what I took, honestly, from playing against him so much, how strong his wrists were and how strong he was in those battles. But everything else that he does on a day-to-day basis is why it's so difficult to play against him, and why he's so prepared mentally. And that level of preparation is something that I don't see very often, and I haven't seen very often in my career. And everybody here has no choice but to follow that example. Like, there's no excuses to be tired for a day and to not do what is required of you that day, because he is he's setting the example to go above and beyond what's expected of him, because he wants to be the best every single day. And so that's the biggest thing that I noticed in coming here, and he does a phenomenal job wearing that letter, whether he says 1,000 words a day or 10.
What do you think has made your line effective? You talked about playing to your identity. Do you think when you guys play your shifts, you can help the team get to its identity?
I think we've done a pretty good job of that in the last couple games. We know what our job is, and it's to be heavy, hard on the forecheck, doing little things right, making sure that we're not being too risky with our decision making. But we've started to get a little bit of chemistry on our line, I think, and started to make a few more plays, play a little bit more on the offensive zone, wear the other guys down, finish some hits, establish our forechecking game, which is obviously a big part of our game. So, just extremely happy for a guy like Stevie, and how he's battled this year, and kind of what he's gone through, the kind of person that he is, getting to know him, getting pretty close with him, and he's played phenomenal. And you can see that he's got that spring in his step. He's getting more confidence. The more responsibility that he gets, and the more responsibility that we get as a line, and with Cuzzy, he's a really smart player, and he's able to go into certain areas and time things really well, and he's really good on the forecheck. So we've created a little bit of chemistry with our line, and we just want to make sure that we're obviously not going to take anything for granted, and going into Boston is going to be a different animal, but we're just hoping to establish the way that we want to play the game.
And you personally looked like you had a rocket strapped to your back last night. You were flying. How much fun are you having, confidence-wise, everything with that line? And you guys, that first period were unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That one felt like a playoff game. Like, it just is different. And there's not many things in this world where you get to do that give you that feeling, that just pure dopamine release in your brain. And playoff hockey is one of them. And I know that I'm not going to be able to do this forever. And I know that I'm nearing the end of my road for sure. But when you get into a game like that, and you get the atmosphere, and you're starting to feel it, and you got some jump and some legs, and you're finishing checks and creating chances, and it's just a phenomenal feeling. And I'm so proud to just be part of the group and being able to add to the group, and it's been just phenomenal being here, and I love it.
Seems like you're looking around a little bit, right? And smelling the roses.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just smiling. You got to enjoy it. There's obviously I'm here to prepare and here to play, and I'm going to take all those things extremely seriously. But when you're looking around at the game and how tight it is, and the bodies that are flying, everybody's diving for pucks, and I just found myself smiling on the bench a couple times, because there's nothing quite like playoff hockey.
How much did you miss it? It's been a while.
Yeah, I looking back, I can't believe I went 8 years you know, not being in it, not being in the dance. And you know, that's why you train. That's why you put the time in the summer. You know, you eat right, sleep well, whatever, all that thing. You do it to have a chance to lift that mug, to lift the cup. And that is something I've missed dearly, is an opportunity to play in the best tournament in the world. And it's fun to be back.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.